Hey happy people, I'm Julia J. Harris, aka The Happy Curator, and this is the first Expanding the Mind episode. This month, it's all about plant-based eating. This episode sees me sharing one podcast, 2 books, 1 TV show, and 1 chef that have made me hungry, in every sense of the word. Hungry for food and hungry for wanting to know more. I'm also talking about 2 songs that have had me grooving. My soul really needs music in general, but especially when I cook. Plant-based food is a way of eating consisting mostly or entirely of foods derived from plants, including vegetables, grains, nuts, seeds, legumes, and fruits, and with few or no animal products. Until very recently, I wasn't really interested in the plant-based food regimen. I equated it to being a hardcore vegan who bashes people for eating animal products and as another fad diet endorsed by the celebrity du jour. There are so many crazy diets out there that I wasn't interested in it at all. Plus, I hate the word diet. Diet, the word that I liken to food restriction and being fucking miserable. Nope. I swear years ago that dieting was never the way I was going to go through life. There was always a diet going on in my family, and it scarred me for life. A few years ago, new diets started emerging out of the woodworks, and they honestly freaked me out. After the Atkins, the paleo keto advocates started bashing us with eating certain foods and avoiding entire groups of others. The paleos don't eat legumes, including peanuts. Wait, what? No peanut butter? Man, that's really harsh. Cereal grains, refined sugar. Well, I agree with that one. Potatoes, root vegetables, to name a few. And the ketos don't eat legumes, root vegetables, most fruits, and starchy veggies, such as potatoes. The ketos eat animal fat in high quantities, but the paleo don't. When these diets came out, the first thing I noticed was that these diets weren't big on fiber. I'm also not sure that these restrictive diets are really sustainable in the long run. Pooping must also be an experience when there's no fiber to help. I've lived in Crete and people live over 100 years over there. The Cretan Mediterranean diet, as well as the Okinawa diet, are known to be the best diets out there. Lots of fruit, veggies, legumes, cereals, and a bit of meat or fish, and dairy. The Greeks love their yogurt. It's also the best milk I've ever drunk in my life. These places are also known as the blue zones, zones where being 100 is common. From what I learned at school, I don't remember people in paleo times living very long. Okay, I'll give you that they had big animals to deal with. But still, when I told my friends that I was taking a keen interest in eating more plants in my life, I could sense that they were a tad confused. They know that I eat meat, fish, and dairy. They all ask me the same questions. Are you a vegan now, and why? Eek! No was the answer. Well, not anytime soon, more likely. But who knows? Why? Well, COVID happened, and that changed a few things in me and for me. I didn't get the full-blown version of the virus. I was very lucky. I got pain, aches, and issues with my voice, which are still ongoing. I've been told that it could last a while. Getting this virus organically pushed me to eat more plants. I didn't seek it, it just happened. I had weeks where I barely ate meat, and then a few weeks ago, I went on a meat and fish binge for a whole week. I even surprised myself on that one. It's very unlike me. The following week, I was back to my normal once a week for meat and 3 times a week for fish. But dairy, I eat it on a regular basis. These last few weeks, I've barely eaten any animal products apart from dairy. Again, it hasn't been a conscious decision, just something that has happened. During lockdown, because I had more time and couldn't go anywhere like most people, I listened to more podcasts, and one podcast in particular gave me more insight into the gut. In the early noughties, when it was quite unfashionable in the UK, I started eating organic foods following issues with my stomach. Not getting relief from the meds I was taking, I started questioning what I was eating. My specialist was all about taking meds to solve issues. He never questioned what I was eating. I don't like meds, so with no answers from him, I took the time to read food labels. What I found wasn't pretty. The amount of crap the food industry can add to products is scary. I would say, even borderline messed up. I started to feel better and get better skin. My friends asked me what I was doing, and when I told them that I'd gone organic, most mocked me. In their mind, there was no way that food could solve medical issues. Plus, they thought that I was bonkers to pay more for food that didn't taste it that much different. With the naysayers, I did the carrot experiment. One organic, one non-organic. Eat. Guess which one tasted of carrot? Yeah, the organic one. Still, they didn't want to pay more. I'm not here to push people to do anything. I'm only here to open people's mind. Guess who is having the last laugh these days? Oh, science, how I love you. Paying for good quality food has always made way more sense than paying for doctors and meds. The only times I've had to take antibiotics in the last 20 years was when I had food poisoning in Thailand, not a pretty experience, and when a dog bit me. That's all I will say. When I was educating myself about the food that I was eating, I decided to give up white sugar and any sugarcane products and then switch to coconut sugar. I started adapting recipes so that I could indulge in treats once in a while. Okay, maybe more than once in a while. Chocolate was the hardest until some new chocolate companies started using coconut sugar, and that was a very, very happy day indeed. My mother, who was a chef, ate sugar by the kilograms. We calculated that she ate 1 kilo of sugar in 2.5 days just in her cups of tea, not counting the biscuits she'd have after waking up from a nap. It's not diabetes that killed her, really. My mum thought like everyone else that I was mad. Baking is a science. You just can't switch ingredients and expect it to work. It would work, and she'd hate me for it. Oh, to have a mum who was a chef and most of your family and family friends in the food industry. It makes for very interesting conversations. Why am I telling you all of this? Because this spring, I discovered one podcast that changed my life, the Rich Roll podcast. Rich is a 50-year-old accomplished vegan ultra-endurance athlete and former entertainment attorney turned full-time wellness and plant-based nutrition advocate, popular public speaker, husband, father of 4, and inspiration to people worldwide as a transformative example of courageous and healthy living. Well, that is what his bio says. Rich, for me, is this guy who has a super interesting podcast that I love to listen to. He also has these great guests on it, and they're often doctors. I like doctors who do their research before publishing their books. I also like doctors who don't take themselves seriously, who have a good sense of humor, aren't pedantic, and treat us like children. The first podcast I listened to had Zach Bush. He's a triple board certified physician specializing in internal medicine, endocrinology, and hospice care. He's also a specialist of the gut. He's a thought leader on the microbiome as it relates to health, disease, and food systems. He founded the Seraphic Group and the non-profit Farmers Footprint to develop root cause solutions for human and ecological health. In a resume, science has discovered and acknowledges that the gut is linked to our mental health. Oddly enough, when I heard that, it made total sense, as I've noticed that if I eat crap, I'm sluggish, have brain fog, and feel low. But when I eat healthy, wholesome food, I have more energy, more focused, and I'm happy as fuck. Check his website, as there's a source of information on there and many links to the interviews and conversations he has had. Dr. Bush is one hell of a doctor, and luckily he isn't the only one who is taking an interest into our gut health and the impact that food can have on our health in general. 2 books that I've had difficulties putting down came out recently. One is called How Not to Die from Dr. Michael Greger, and the other one is Fiber Fueled by Dr. Will Bilcevich, also known as Dr. B. Dr. Greger is an American physician, author, and professional speaker on public health issues. best known for his advocacy of a whole food, plant-based diet and his opposition to animal-derived food products. He's also the kind of doctor that I like. He takes a holistic view to treating his patients. Doctors have a tendency to treat the symptoms. He's interested in the root cause. All the proceeds of his books and speaking engagements go to charity. He's unbiased as can be. Him and his team do copious amounts of research. In How Not to Die, Dr. Michael Greger examines the 15 top causes of death in America: heart disease, various cancers, diabetes, Parkinson's, high blood pressure, and more, and explains how nutritional and lifestyle interventions can sometimes trump prescription pills and other pharmaceutical and surgical approaches, freeing us to live healthier lives. In a resume, the vast majority of premature deaths can be prevented through simple changes in diet and lifestyle. The book's research is localized, depending where you buy it, because it's not only the Americans who have a bad diet. The multitude of science is showing us that plant-based food is the answer to our health issues. It can help prevent diseases, but also arrest and even reverse it. I don't know about you, but I'd rather have a healthy way of eating than end up with a chronic disease or dead. Dr. Greger isn't the only doctor to recommend plant food living. In Fiber Fueled, Dr. B preaches with his patients that gut health is the key to boosting our metabolism, balancing our hormones, and taming the inflammation that causes a host of diseases. And the scientifically proven way to fuel our guts is with dietary fiber from an abundant variety of colorful plants. In the UK, like in the US, people are eating about 18 grams of fiber a day when they should be eating at least 30 grams. Some Japanese eat 100 grams a day, and they eat about 6 different plants a year. He's not asking us to eat that amount of fiber, but to properly increase it. Fiber cleanses our colons, and we need it more than a bloody cleanse. A healthy gut means a healthy brain. His book is full of science and proper research that he has personally checked before writing about it. You can access all of it on his website. Prior to becoming a renowned gastroenterologist, Dr. B was focused on medical research. He has a Master of Science in Clinical Investigation from Northwestern University and a certificate in nutrition from Cornell University. He's the Dr. House of the gut. No pun intended, but the man knows his shit. Does Dr. B want us to become fully plant-based people? Yes, he does. But what he really wants us to do is to have the most diverse diet possible that includes lots of fiber. That is why keto and paleo diets make no sense to him. Too many plants are banned, and the fiber and nutrients in them are what feed our gut. And if you don't know it, the gut is home to 70% of our immune system. It houses our microbiome. Both inside and out, our body harbor a huge array of microorganisms. While bacteria are the biggest players, we also host single-celled organisms known as archaea, as well as fungi, viruses, and other microbes, including viruses that attack bacteria. Together, they are dubbed the human microbiome or microbiota. Healthy microorganisms mean healthy gut, which means healthy brain, which means happy as fuck. I ate dirt as a child when I was living in Africa, and I've often wondered if that's why I rarely fall ill. I find the microbiome to be super interesting, and science is only discovering what it does for us. Since I read his book and listened to him on the Ritual podcast, I've been aiming to eat at least 10 different plants a day, and I'm managing 15 without even trying. I've been at it for a few days, and honestly, I'm astonished by the amount of energy that I'm having. Have I totally cut out meat, fish, or dairy? No. But then I don't eat meat every day. Never really have. Will I go completely plant-based? I honestly don't know. Dairy will be the most difficult to give up. I've yet to find a plant milk that I enjoy in my coffee. I've tried them all. I also like cheese. That's the French in me, and there's no way in hell that I'm eating plant-based cheese or spending time to make them. Talking about food, I want to mention Chef Cynthia Louise, who has made me hungry for more plant-based food. Use the word vegan and you've lost me. Being vegan doesn't equate to being healthy. I picked up some vegan products in the supermarket to read the labels, and I needed a bloody diploma in science to understand what the heck they had in them. Honestly, that's why they call dirty vegan, I think. I stumbled on Cynthia a while back, and with wanting to eat more plants, properly research her. She's the first plant-based chef who makes me want to eat more plant-based food at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that, my friends, is no small feature. Her food is fucking amazing. She will be on one of my podcasts in late September, so keep an eye out for this episode where we talk about the wholesomeness of plants and what they can do for you. While we're on the subject of food, have you watched Down to Earth presented by Zac Efron? Darren Onion is his sidekick in this show. He's an author, entrepreneur, and podcast host who is well versed in the world of sustainability. They travel the world to explore a healthy, sustainable way to live. All episodes are excellent. I wish that they went more in depth. 30 minutes is a bit short in my book for each episode. I wanted more info from each. One of my favorite episodes is when they travel to Sardinia. They wanted to understand how people in blue zones live to be 100. Well, at least 100. The answer to that question is apparently biodiversity, plants, and very little meat. Wait, isn't that what Dr. Bush, Gregor, and B are telling us? Zac, being an actor who needs to look fuckable on screen, regularly puts himself through pretty hardcore diets, eating only proteins and no carbs for certain roles. In this episode, he starts to properly question his eating habits, and you can sense a certain joy when he eats pasta. I don't envy anyone who has to cut out carbs. I didn't know about the Zac apart from being an actor. I was happy to discover that he's more than a handsome man who does movie. He's genuinely interested in our role on planet Earth. Traveling has clearly opened his mind to what one should be eating to feel and be healthy. Before I end this podcast, I wanted to mention 2 songs that have had me grooving while cooking. Positive energy when cooking is important as it will be infused in your food. The first one is Mamacita by the Black Eyed Peas, and the second one is the remix of Slow Down by Maverick Sabre. Love the last one, but I also love the first one. Put music on, it does really wonders for the soul. There you have it, my lovelies. Remember, this podcast is only about expanding your mind and making you think. What you eat, don't eat is really up to you. But if you want to have more energy, a focused mind, and a thriving gut with happy microbiomes, there's nothing wrong in increasing the amount of plants and fiber you eat. Podcast and book details and information about the people mentioned in this episode can be found on the podcast page. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook, and do join the Facebook group, The Happy Creator Podcast. I'm always happy to hear ideas and comments. Talk to you next month.